Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel once again. My name is Godfrey and welcome to the channel where I give you tips on how to go to new countries in the world and start your life in these new countries. Um, I have received a question from one of my followers, a friend of mine in Uganda, and she was asking me and saying, Godfrey, I finished my studies in Uganda. I did a bachelor in business economics in Uganda, and I'm thinking about the possible ways of how I could get to Germany or Europe in general, just to start my life there, to work and just build my career on, you know. And then this kept me thinking, and from experience, I just want to give you different ways or different kinds of visas or things that you didn't know but could work out, that you could apply for in your respective countries, and it could be a way that you could use to come to Germany. Now, there are very many kinds of visas that you could apply for to come to Germany, and depending on what you want to do here, then the visas are different. Now, I personally came to Germany um, with a work visa, but the precondition for getting the work permit was to do a German language exam. And this, I would love to start from here exactly, that if you want to come to Germany, you could come like me. But for my case, you need, so in German they have some kinds of jobs that are called like jobs that lack workers, you know? And in German they call them Mangelberufe. And these kinds of jobs, you can easily get a work visa to come and work here. And these jobs include things like medicine, engineering, software development, so that's part of engineering. Or if you are a nurse, you know, because Germany has a lot of old people and they need to be taken care of. Like they need to take care of these guys because they are old and they need help. And so it doesn't happen seldom that they really need nurses in this country. So if you studied nursing, you're a medical doctor, you're a dental surgeon, or you studied, you know, the teeth, you're a dentist, or you're just a general human doctor, you're a medic, or you are a vet. In these areas, you have a very high chance of getting a work visa in this country. But the precondition is always you need to first learn the language. So in case you want to come this way, just go through the websites of your respective German embassies in your countries, check out the requirements that you need, and apply to come here as a worker. That's if you fall in one of these professions that I have mentioned. But in case you're not of this category, there are also other ways. So the other way you could come to Germany is through a family reunification. So maybe you have relatives that have been living in Germany for a long time, maybe 10 years, 6 years, 8 years, 20 years, and you just want to be part of them in Germany. So there is a special kind of visa that Germany gives out, and it's called the family reunion visa. So you go to the embassy, you just have to produce evidence that the people living in Germany and their family members, and the people living in Germany should have a German permanent residence permit. That's the only way you can get the visa. If they don't have the German permanent residence permit, then you will not get the visa. So that's another way. You can apply for a family reunification, or you have your husband working in Germany, or you have your wife working in Germany, or you have your children and you just want to be part of them. That's another visa you could apply for. The other thing that you could come here to do is to study. You know, this is like always the easiest way. If you want to go to a country as a student, this is always the easiest way. But it also needs a lot of things. So you could come here to study language, for example, and this is like a very simple visa to get. And so, for example, you have a bachelor's degree. You have a bachelor's degree, and then you say, okay, I'm going to go to Germany to study the language. And as you study the language, you can apply for your bachelor that you studied back home to be recognized here. And then you study the language, and as the recognition process takes on, it's very possible that as you finish your language, then your bachelor is already recognized, you know the language, your bachelor recognized, then you can try to look for jobs somewhere, somehow, and maybe it works out. Because I'm just trying to give you options here and there. So you can come to study the language. Now, you can study, from A1 to C2. So you choose which level you want to study. But just for you to know, you can only be allowed to work in this country if you have B2. So this is like the fourth level of the German language. Exactly. So you could study language, or you could come to do your master's degree here. And master's degree include, you studied your bachelor, and it should be from a recognized university in your respective country. So it should be a renowned university. Then you can come here and do your master's degree in anything that you want. And then when you do your master's degree, you're given a year to look for a job in this country. But in this time when you do your master's, so after your master's, you're given a year to look for a job in this country. But the condition is that you need to know German. So you have to use this time as you do your master's also to study the German language until you have B2 level. And then after your master's, you could look for a job in the area where you're working, and then you start your life that way. And then the other way is maybe you're an intellectual. If you want to do a doctorate, you could come here to do a PhD. And German needs really high skilled workers. So if you come here to do your PhD, you can get a scholarship. Look out and inform yourself from the German embassies that there are scholarships from DADS, from very many organizations give out scholarships to foreigners. So you could get a scholarship, come here, do your PhD, and afterwards, because you're highly skilled with a PhD, if you study German to probably B1 or C1, then you can look for a job here very easily, and then life starts again. So that's the other way. Now, like I said, for work, if you want to come here for work, the first thing you have to take care of is the language. Apart from a few jobs, which is like software engineering, you can work for a company without needing German, but most of the jobs you will need German. And even your bureaucracy, like the paperwork, taxes, rent, rent contracts and everything, if you don't know German, then it will be really, really very hard for you. So that's the other thing. And then the other way you could come here is to do internship. Maybe you studied back home and then you finish your bachelor's degree. You could come here to do an internship, and then you do your internship, and maybe you can find a way of applying for a work visa after the internship, and maybe your boss can recommend you that they really need you in the job where you've been working as an intern. And then you can change your thing, maybe your bachelor, you try to see that your bachelor gets recognized, and then you can get a work permit. And the most important thing in this country is to have a work permit. If you don't have a work permit, you cannot live here, because the life is just expensive. And if you don't have a job, you cannot afford an apartment, you cannot afford food, you cannot afford all these things. So the most important thing is to have a job in this country. And then you could also come on a volunteer's visa. So you finish your studies back home, and then you can probably apply to come and work here as a volunteer in the field that you studied. Maybe you did nursing, and then you come and volunteer to work in old people's home. And then you can restudy a few things here and there, and then you can get a work permit as a nurse in this country. Or what other people do, if you studied things which are like, social work, like things that are really not so much needed in this country. So what they come, study 3 years, and then they come here, study the language, and then they enroll for a course. So in German they call it Ausbildung, and then they do a nursing course for 3 years, and after these 3 years they are allowed to work in this country as a nurse. And then you see, in total you've invested 6 years, so 3 years of your bachelor, and then 3 years of your Ausbildung, and maybe 1 year of your language, and these are 7 years. So if you're someone who is 20, at 27, you're done with everything. You can work, earn, and then start your life. And 27, you're really, really still young. So it's just like that. So you just have to think what is the best thing for you, what you want in life, and then there are always options. And then the commonest way to come to Germany, most of the people come with a visitor's visa. Now, when you come on this visa, you are not allowed to work. And when your stay time is over in this country, you're supposed to go back to your country. And the visitor's visa has a maximum of 3 months. They don't give longer than that. So you come and visit, and get used to the place, but this does not help you. If you really want to stay here for work and have your life here, this is just a visitor's visa. You come in, after that time, you must go back to your country. Exactly. Now, there is another common thing that I would love to advise everyone who is watching me right now from all around the world, and that is called the asylum seeking visa. You know, this visa, people will tell you who are already here, they will not probably tell you the truth. They will say, yeah, you can come as an asylum seeker, you get asylum status, and then you get a job, the government gives you money, you find a job, start working, and then you start your life. This is how people tell about their family members and friends back home. But as a person who has been traveling to Germany since 2014 and living in Germany right now, I can share with you from my experience and with talking to my friends and colleagues that coming here with asylum seeking visa is the worst way you can come to this country. It is the worst way you can come to this country. So unless you really need the asylum, unless you come from a country like Somalia where there is war, unless you come from a country that is, Burundi or Central African Republic, Sudan, where the war is really serious, I would not advise you to come to this country seeking for asylum. Because when you get this asylum status, there are many things where you are limited, and it's even complicated, it's wasting time. I know people who have been on asylum, seeking for asylum for the last 10 years, for the last 12 years in this country. They are not allowed to work, they are not allowed to travel, they are illegal in the country, and they are still waiting for their asylum to be approved. So I would advise you not to come with this kind of visa to this country. Asylum seeking visa is the worst way you can come here, because you will waste your time, and people, when they come to Germany, they think, I'm going to start work straight away. And when they come here with their asylum seeking visa, the reality is really different. You need to stay probably in a camp. You need to stay there for some time with many other foreigners from East Europe, Arab countries, and then you're not allowed to work. You don't have enough space. You don't have enough food. It's not clean. It's dirty. So it's really not the best way to come. And then it will torture you psychologically. And most of the people who went through asylum, when I talk to them, it's like they have been traumatized because of these experiences in the camps, experiences from the German government. You're always on the run because the government is looking for you always. They want to take you back. So please, asylum is not an option for anyone unless you have no choice and you think this is the best way you can come. That is it. And then the easiest other way to come, apart from coming on a work visa and coming as a student, the other easy way to come is to come with a marriage visa. So if you have a spouse in Germany, a man or a woman that you're getting married to, you can come on a marriage visa, and when you get married, you're allowed to stay here with a permanent residence. So you're allowed to stay here without any problem, but it's also not as easy as I said. So you need to do a lot of paperwork and put everything together to be allowed to come here with a marriage visa. So these are the 7 or 8 different ways of how you can come to Germany or Europe in general and start your work in this country. So in case you like my video and you found it helpful, don't forget to put a thumbs up, don't forget to like, and please type something down there in the comments if you have any questions about anything traveling to Europe or something like that. I'll be doing other videos about them. Thank you so much for watching. Godfrey, all the way from Germany. Love you so much. Bye.